What if I told you that every time you do it, you're not releasing stress, you're releasing your power, that the thing you think is normal, harmless, even healthy, is actually one of the biggest reasons you feel weak, unmotivated, and lost. I'm talking about masturbation. No one wants to admit how much it affects them. No one wants to talk about the guilt after, the mental fog, the shame that creeps in and follows you for hours, but it's there. And deep down, you know it. Because every time you do it, something inside you goes quiet, the fire dims, the clarity fades, and the hunger to chase your goals, gone. This isn't a video about morality, it's about energy, masculine energy, and how you're giving it away without realizing it. Think about this. Why do you struggle to stay disciplined? Why can't you focus for more than 10 minutes? Why do you feel strong for one day and lost the next? The answer might not be in your to-do list, it might be in your browser history. Because this habit, this one behavior you keep justifying, is draining your focus, hijacking your dopamine, and slowly killing your ambition. But what if I told you that the ancient Stoics had the answer? That the men who built empires, who ruled without fear, who mastered their minds, faced the same urges, and overcame them with unshakable discipline? Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They didn't have OnlyFans or TikTok, but they understood something we've forgotten. The man who controls his impulses, controls his life. In this video, I'm going to show you how. You'll learn the Stoic secrets to breaking this habit, to regaining your fire, and to becoming the man who no longer needs instant pleasure, because he's chasing something bigger. But first, you need to face the cost. You think it's just a release, just 5 minutes, just stress relief. But every time you do it, you're giving up more than you realize. You're trading your drive for distraction, your edge for escape, your masculinity for a moment. And the cost? It's not obvious at first. It starts with small things. You sleep a little more than usual, you put off your workout, you stop chasing that business idea, you feel tired but wired, unmotivated but anxious, and soon your days blur, your goals fade, your hunger disappears. Because what most men don't understand is this: masturbation isn't just a habit, it's a drain, a siphon on your masculine fire. That energy, it was supposed to build you, fuel your ambition, make you aggressive in your goals. Instead, it's leaking out, onto your screen, into your sheets, and out of your potential. You ever wonder why some days you feel unstoppable, focused, sharp, confident, and the next, you feel like a ghost of yourself? Check the night before. Did you do it? Because if you did, your chemistry changed. Dopamine spiked. Testosterone dipped. Your hunger got replaced with fake satisfaction. You feel like you accomplished something, but nothing in your life has changed. And worse, now you feel guilt. Not the obvious kind, the silent kind, the whisper in your head that says, "Again? You said you were done. You were supposed to be better than this." And that guilt turns into shame. Shame turns into self-doubt. Self-doubt becomes inaction. And inaction, that's where your dreams go to die. That's the hidden cost. It's not the time you lost, it's the version of you that you could have become. The man with fire in his eyes, the man who gets up early, trains hard, works like he's on a mission. But instead, you're stuck. Not because you're weak, but because you've been lied to. Told that this habit is healthy, natural, even good for you. It's not. Not when it's daily. Not when it's compulsive. Not when it's stealing your ambition and dimming your spark. And the worst part? It's invisible. No one knows, no one sees, no one checks. But you feel it. In your bones, in your mind, in your reflection. That's the cost. You don't see it at first. You think it's just a private habit, a personal choice, no big deal. Nobody knows. But something changes, slowly, quietly. You start skipping things. Your workouts, your goals, your promises to yourself. You tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. You start sleeping later, eating worse, avoiding the mirror. It's not that you're lazy, it's that you've been drained. Drained of drive, drained of hunger, drained of your edge. And you don't even realize it's happening until you look back and ask, what happened to me? Masturbation, done over and over, doesn't just rob you of time, it robs you of momentum. It kills your urgency, it slows your spirit, you start negotiating with yourself, you justify mediocrity, you celebrate surviving instead of thriving. Your dreams, they shrink, your standards, they slip. And every time you give in, you reinforce the idea that short-term relief is more important than long-term greatness. It's not the act that's killing you, it's what it represents. That you're escaping instead of engaging, that you're soothing instead of solving, that you're numbing instead of building, and it's costing you everything. Your confidence fades, you hesitate more, you stop going for what you want, and no one claps when you stop believing in yourself. This isn't just a physical habit, it's a mental surrender, a spiritual leak, a hidden trap that turns warriors into wanderers. You start to feel like a shell of who you used to be, like a lion with no teeth, a fighter with no fire. But here's the truth. You haven't lost your power, you've just forgotten how to hold it. You were made for more than this. Your mind was built to conquer, to lead, to shape the world around you. And all that energy you keep wasting on a screen? It's the same energy you could use to build a kingdom. Don't trade your future for a few seconds of pleasure, because the cost is far greater than you think. It always starts the same way. You're bored, you're tired, you're lonely, and you tell yourself just one time, it's no big deal, it helps me sleep. And then, it happens. The screen lights up, the dopamine hits, your body gets tricked into thinking something real is happening. But it's not real, it's synthetic, scripted, filtered, fiction. And when it's over, reality crashes back in. You feel the silence, the emptiness, the regret. You stare at the ceiling, wondering why you did it again. Your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, and the same old feelings creep back in. Guilt, shame, weakness. You look at yourself differently, your posture changes, you avoid the mirror, you stop reaching for your goals, because something inside you whispers, you failed again. You're not who you say you are, you're not strong enough. And the worst part, you start to believe it. That's how the cycle works. Masturbation isn't just draining your energy, it's reshaping your identity. It's teaching your brain that comfort is more important than commitment. That pleasure is better than purpose. That escape is easier than action. And little by little, you become passive, soft, disconnected. You stop pursuing greatness because you don't feel worthy of it. You stop speaking up because you feel like a hypocrite. You stop leading because inside, you're following your urges. This habit doesn't just waste time, it chips away at your self-respect, at your belief in yourself, at the image you have when you say, I'm a man. You feel like you're fighting a war inside your own mind. One moment strong, the next weak. One day focused, the next ashamed. And over time, that inconsistency becomes your identity. You start to say, I can't stop, this is just how I am. It's part of being a man. But it's not. It's not who you are. It's who you've become, because of what you keep doing. And if you don't break the cycle breaks you. Because this isn't just about pleasure, it's about power. Every time you give in, you're training your brain to believe that you're not in control, that you can't resist, that you're weak. And that belief, it's more dangerous than the habit itself, because it shows up everywhere in how you talk to women, in how you walk into a room, in how you handle pressure, in how you lead your life. You don't need more willpower, you need a new identity, one rooted in strength, discipline, self-respect, and fire. But before you rebuild, you have to destroy the lie that just one more time won't hurt, because it always does. It's never just one time, it's a promise broken in silence, a ritual of regret, a slow erosion of self-trust. You open that tab, tell yourself it's just to relax. And the moment it's done, that pit in your stomach returns, that heaviness in your chest, that whisper in your mind, you did it again. It's not just the shame of the act, it's what it confirms, that you're not who you said you'd be, that you said never again. And yet here you are. You stare at the screen long after it goes black, not because you're entertained, but because you're haunted. You try to shake it off, watch something, distract yourself, go to bed, but the feeling follows you. You stop posting online because you feel fake. You stop pushing in the gym because you feel empty. You stop asking for more because inside you feel like you've already failed. It's not just the energy you've lost, it's the identity you've fractured. Every time you give in, you vote against your future. You reinforce the idea that you're weak, that you're ruled by urges, that you can't trust yourself, and that belief, it seeps into everything, into how you talk to women, into how you walk into a room, into how you speak to yourself when no one's watching. You begin to filter life through a fog of failure. You don't go for what you want, because deep down you don't believe you deserve it. That's the real cost, not the act, but the fallout, the collapse of self-respect, the internal war between who you are and who you keep acting like. And if you're not careful, you become numb to it. You stop feeling bad, you stop apologizing to yourself, you start saying things like, that's just who I am. It's not that serious, I'll stop when I'm ready. But inside, you know you're lying. And that lie becomes the rope you use to strangle your potential, but it doesn't have to end there. Because that same pain you feel after, that ache in your chest, that shame, it's not weakness, it's your spirit still fighting, your higher self refusing to give up. It's the part of you that knows, this is not who I'm meant to be, And that voice inside you, that resistance, it's a gift. It means you still have something worth protecting. Use it. Let that shame spark your fire. Let that guilt drive your transformation. Let that weakness become your reason to rise. Because the only real failure is pretending that it doesn't matter. And you matter. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's your fuel, your motivator, the chemical that says, this is worth doing again. But in today's world, it's being hijacked by algorithms, by screens, by images that give you the illusion of pleasure without the cost of effort. Masturbation isn't just a release anymore. It's part of an addictive loop, a dopamine trap. You open your phone, you see something, you get triggered. Your brain says reward is coming. You give in, you release, you feel empty. So what do? You go back for more. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is chasing a chemical it was never designed to get so easily. This is how addiction works. Not with a needle, not with a bottle, with repetition, with fake rewards, with synthetic highs, with constant, easy, instant gratification. And over time, this rewires your brain. You stop chasing long-term goals because they don't give you a hit. You stop enjoying real connection because it takes too much effort. You stop feeling alive because your brain has been numbed. You're not broken. You're overstimulated. And the worst part, you're not alone. This isn't just your battle. It's an epidemic. Millions of men, strong men, smart men, are stuck in the same cycle. Scroll, click, release, repeat. You're not lazy, you're addicted. But addiction only wins when you suffer in silence. That's why I created this channel, The Irresistible Effect, to give men like you a way out. If you've made it this far into the video, you already have what most men don't. Awareness, honesty, and the hunger to change. So make this moment count. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for you. So you can keep learning how to break free, reclaim your fire, and rebuild your mind. We've got more videos waiting on Stoic masculinity, emotional control, and self-mastery. Everything you need to win this war. Because you're not just trying to quit a habit. You're trying to take your life back. You wake up, reach for your phone, scroll, swipe, click, repeat. Before you've even stood up, your brain's been hijacked. That's not an exaggeration. That's modern life. And it's not random. It's engineered. Your dopamine system, the part of your brain responsible for motivation, drive, and learning, has been turned against you. Big tech knows it. Adult sites know it. Streaming platforms know it. They're not in the business of serving you. They're in the business of keeping you trapped. Every swipe is calculated. Every suggested video is a psychological hook. Every release, a reset of your drive. And they want you stuck, because if you're chasing instant pleasure, you're not chasing greatness. You become predictable, easy to market to, easy to control. And the longer you stay in the loop, the harder it becomes to remember what it felt like to be alive. Dopamine addiction isn't about enjoying life. It's about needing constant stimulation just to feel normal. And that's terrifying. It starts subtle. You stop reading. You can't sit still. Your thoughts race when it gets quiet. So you check your phone again, and again, and again. Not because there's anything new, but because you're hooked on the hit, the anticipation, the maybe. Maybe something exciting is coming. Maybe someone messaged. Maybe there's something to escape into. And then, there's not. Just more noise, more emptiness. And so, you return to what's familiar. Porn, scrolling, fantasy. It becomes your digital pacifier and you start to shrink. Your focus, gone. Your memory, weaker. Your drive, flatlined. And here's the worst part. You think this is normal. Because everyone's doing it. Everyone's numbing out. Everyone's distracted. But normal is not the same as right. You're meant for clarity. You're designed for depth. You're wired to chase meaning. And the more you detox from this system, the more alive you feel. Your senses sharpen. Your energy returns. You start wanting to create, move, speak, lead. You reclaim your curiosity. You start hearing your own thoughts again. And that's when it clicks. It was never you that was broken. It was the system that broke you. And now, you know the truth. You've been tricked into leaking your power. But now, you can cut the cord. It's not easy. But every moment you resist, you train your brain to be free again. Every hour without the scroll, you regain control. Every urge you transmute, you sharpen your edge. And in time, the silence that used to scare you becomes sacred because you're no longer running, you're rising. Self-discipline isn't about punishment. It's about freedom. Because the man who can say no to himself can say yes to his mission. That's what the Stoics believed, that freedom didn't come from doing whatever you want. It came from doing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." And the right thing is often the hardest thing. Saying no to temptation. Getting up when you're tired. training when you feel weak, turning off the screen when the urge hits. That's discipline. And like a muscle, it grows through resistance. The problem is most men wait until they're strong. They wait until motivation comes. But Stoics didn't rely on motivation. They relied on will, because will is stable, it doesn't rise and fall, it's a choice every single time. And here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Every time you resist the urge, you win a battle. Every time you choose discipline over desire, you reinforce a new identity. And the more you choose it, the easier it becomes. You start to see urges not as commands, but as tests. Every craving becomes an opportunity to rise. Every temptation becomes a rep for your mind. And like Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Masturbation isn't the real problem. It's the symptom of a deeper problem, that you've stopped training your mind, that you've forgotten you're a warrior. And warriors don't chase comfort. They train in discomfort. They live with restraint. They lead with purpose. The Stoics weren't monks. They were leaders, fathers, emperors, men with desires just like you, who chose to master themselves. So the next time the urge hits, don't run from it. Face it, feel it, breathe through it, and say, this moment will define me. Because it will. Discipline isn't about suppressing who you are, it's about expressing your strength. You don't just need less pleasure, you need more purpose. Because if you don't wake up every day with a reason to win, you'll settle for anything that feels good. The Stoics knew this. They believed life wasn't about avoiding pleasure, but about pursuing meaning. Marcus Aurelius didn't say don't feel pleasure. He said, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be occupied only with the present and according to principle. Your urges aren't the problem. Your emptiness is. Because when you don't have a mission, a goal, a reason, pleasure becomes your default. But when you do, pleasure becomes irrelevant. Think about it. When you're locked in, focused, building something that matters, you don't even notice the urges. Not because they're gone, but because your mind is somewhere bigger. Most men are fighting temptation in a vacuum. They're not falling because they're weak. They're falling because they're bored. Boredom is a killer. And porn is its poison. But purpose is the antidote. When your mind is occupied with your mission, you don't need artificial highs. You're building your own. That's what Stoicism teaches. That a man must aim higher than comfort. He must sacrifice small pleasures for powerful outcomes. Start with this. What's your purpose? Not some fantasy. Not what your parents want. What you were made to do. To build, to create, to serve, to conquer. Whatever it is. Lock into it. Write it down. Chase it like your life depends on it. Because it does. And the more you live for that purpose, the less space you'll have for the things that weaken you. You weren't born to hide behind a screen. You were born to leave a mark. You've been taught to release it. To get it out. To empty yourself. But that energy you feel, that pressure, it wasn't made to be wasted. It was made to be converted. This is what the Stoics understood, and what modern science confirms. Sexual energy is life energy. It's the rawest, most powerful force you have. And when you hold it, not suppress it, not ignore it, but redirect it, you unlock a fire that most men never access. That fire builds businesses. It writes books. It forges empires. It transforms your presence. That's why men on nofap glow different, why their voices deepen, their eyes sharpen, their walk changes. It's not magic, it's transmutation. You're keeping what's yours and using it to build you. Imagine waking up with energy that doesn't just buzz. It pushes you out of bed, drives you into your workout, sharpens your focus like a weapon. That's what happens when you stop leaking your power. Instead of watching pixels, you chase progress. Instead of scrolling, you sculpt your body, you build your brand, you pursue your purpose with obsession. And every time that urge rises, you smile, because you know, it's fuel. It means your tank is full, and now you get to choose where to drive. Don't run from the energy, harness it, channel it, convert it into your next victory. That's how you become magnetic, how you walk into a room and command respect. Not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. A man who owns his fire becomes unstoppable. You weren't born to scroll. You weren't made to chase shadows on a screen. You were built for something higher, and deep down, you've always known it. Because every time you gave in and felt that regret rise up, that was your real self, fighting back. Not because you're broken, but because something in you refuses to settle. That's your signal, your reminder, your calling. And now it's time to answer it. You've seen the truth. The game is rigged. Your power is being siphoned. Your attention is being sold. And your future? It's bleeding out. One scroll, one release, one excuse at a time. But not anymore. Because now you have the tools. Discipline. The strength to choose long-term greatness over short-term comfort. Purpose, the mission that gives your suffering meaning. Transmutation, the art of turning fire into force. These aren't just ideas, they are weapons. And you are the warrior. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to fight, to resist, to rise, again and again and again, until your default becomes excellence, until your urges become fuel, until your presence becomes undeniable. It starts small, one day without giving in, one morning where you train instead of scroll, one moment where you breathe through the urge and whisper, "Not today." And slowly, day by day, you rebuild yourself. Not with hype, but with habits. Not with noise, but with silence. Not with fantasy, but with fire. You become what you were meant to be. A man of presence, a man of purpose, a man who walks into a room and doesn't need to speak, because the power speaks for him. This is what they never wanted you to see. Because when men like you awaken, everything changes. You shift the room, you break patterns, you raise standards, you remind other men that they don't have to shrink, and that's what this channel is about. The Irresistible Effect isn't just a brand, it's a revolution, a reminder, a voice that says, you're not alone, you're not finished, and you're far from average. So if you feel the fire, don't let it fade. Hit that subscribe button, then go explore the rest of our videos. Each one is a tool, a lesson, a push forward. Because your life isn't waiting, it's already here. Now go build it.